Now that we learned more about Flexbox, let's go and apply that knowledge to our web page. So I will open Google Chrome, and first thing we notice here is that we can put our menu items in the same line. So let's go and do that. I will open Developer Tools, and inside of that I will locate our unordered list for our menu, and first I want to give it display of flex, which will immediately put menu items into the same line. After that, if I take a look, I will notice that each of the menu items has this strange dot here, and that's because the browser gives it default dot for each unordered list, and we can actually remove this one by writing something like list style type and setting it to none, and it's removed now. And also on each list item we want to go to the anchor and just give it some padding just to have it a bit separated. Let's say 0 and 16 pixels, for example. And that's already nicer. So I will just grab this and paste that into our file. I want to remove this empty space, and I want to go back, copy this too, and paste it here. Just go and save it. If I go now and reload page, everything is saved, which is nice. The next thing we want to do is to put our logo and our menu into the same line. And for that, we want to make sure they have the same parent, which is currently the case. But we don't want to use this navigation parent, because we want to have some parent which will be used not only here, but that class we can use over the multiple places in our application to have the same kind of parent. So let's go now and add a single div here and give it a class of, let's say, AW container, and I will just close it here, and that way we wrapped our logo and our main navigation into a single container div. If I go now and save this and go to the style CSS, I obviously want to add some styles to this container. So I will just write some selector here, and I will say AW container. And actually for now I can leave it empty here, and I can add changes from our developer tools. I'll go and reload the page, and now if I take a look at our page structure, inside of our nav I should see this AW container. So let's go and add some styles for this one. First thing we want to do is to say display flex, and it will immediately set our logo and our navigation into the same line. We just want to make sure for the smaller screens later on that we'll be using that these items will be wrapped in situations when we don't want them to be on the same line and when there is not enough space for them. Because of that, we'll just go and say flex wrap and set it to wrap. And the next thing we want to make sure is the case is that this container, actually now it is wide full screen here, 100%, but we want to make sure that it's 100% always, because we'll be using that in many different cases, not only here in the menu. So I will say width 100%, but that's actually the width it will use for the smaller screens, when we reduce the size of this screen. And now in this case, we want it to be centered and not to be wide as the full screen, but something like starting here at this point and ending here at this point. That's why we, beside the width, can give it some max width, and let's set it to 1000 pixels, for example. And in order to see that it works, I will just hover it, and you can see this blue part, which is the width of our container now. And maybe the better view for this will be once we add the next property, which is the margin of 0 and then auto, which will set our container to the middle of the header. So our container is now width of 100%, but it has a maximum width of 1000 pixels, which means for the resolutions wider than 1000 pixels, it will be 1000 pixels, and for the smaller resolutions, it will go and populate the full width of the screen. Now that we have these tiles here, we also want to make sure that we have this menu on the right side. So let's go and give it property of justify content and set it to space between. That's right. And also we want to make sure that this container has a box sizing. So if we give it some padding or something, in some cases, it doesn't overflow the width we gave it. So we want to set sizing to border box. And if you take a look now, you will notice that only thing we need to add here is to align these two items vertically, and we can achieve that by adding align items property from the flexbox. But we want to do it different way now, because we don't want to add that property always to this container, because in some situations we'll use later on this container in. We don't want to have all the things aligned vertically. So I will go for now and just copy all of these tiles and paste that here to our class. But I will also add an additional class and write AW, let's say, align center. And in that class, I will write align items to the center. And it will be applied only to the elements which has this class. And I will take now this class. Of course, I will save this file. I will take this class and go to our HTML file, go to our container, and also add this class here. If I go and save it now and just reload our page, I can already see that things are aligned properly here. So there are some things left to set up here. And for example, you can take a look here and see that our logo is stacked to the top of the page and to the bottom of this nav bar. And actually we can go to that nav bar and give it some padding for the start. And let's say padding of 10 pixels and 0, which already looks a bit nicer. I will just go and copy this one. Oops. And I want to go and add it here. And save it. And also there is one other thing that I want to do in this video, and that's to apply our knowledge we gained about flexbox to our logo. If you take a look, last time to align text inside of our logo, we used this line height and we also used text align center. But actually we don't have to do that. We can use some modern way, like adding display flex here and just remove this display block we already had, and then say it justify content center and align items also center, which will achieve the same result as before, but our logo is now a bit more dynamic, and if we change the height of that logo, it will not happen that we have a situation where we have to change also line height here. So I will go now and just copy all of these styles and go back and also paste it to our logo here. I just want to remove this empty space and delete this commented stuff. And I want to save it. And if I go back to our page and take a look, it looks the same way. So we applied all the knowledge we gained about the flexbox to our application. So let's continue and make our application even better.